All right, welcome back to episode 3 of Don't Tell Me, Bro, with my co-host here, Mazuma. You ain't got to keep that on mute, man. It's not bad when you're
All right,
talking.
all right,
It's not bad.
all right.
But anyway, so I know we talked about for the last couple of weeks. We're mentioning little things we want to mention and talk about in this episode, and the primary thing is toxic survivors. Are survivors more toxic? Playing with toxic survivors and against them as killer. I'm more of a killer main, about half and half. You've been playing a lot more killer Mazuma, mainly for daily, so you're not trying to like be a
Yeah,
killer main, but you've definitely experienced it.
dailies and rips, and my MMR on most killers is going to be pretty low, so I get that glimpse into like average to slightly better than average
Right.
survivors, or sometimes a bunch of noobs playing with like a red rank. You know, that's like their buddy who's showing them the ropes and stuff.
Right.
So I get a whole different category of
But
survivors.
I think we both agree. I think we mentioned it last time a little bit. There are for sure, you know, I know for me at least, it'll sound like I'm defending killers all the time, and to some degree I am. But there are certainly toxic killers. We're not saying there's not, but I think overall, just by numbers, I mean, just numbers alone, 4-1, right? I mean, there are more toxic survivors, and are the flashlights, the tea bags, and all that stuff. Is that toxic, or is that a tactic? Because I keep hearing from streamers that I like and others that I don't really know, but I've seen some clips or YouTube videos, whatever. No. It's just a tactic. It's just to get you frustrated. It's always been used in all kinds of games. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. You know, I just want to get in your head to make you make mistakes, to capitalize on those mistakes. Okay. So when does that stop? At what point do you stop like continuing to do those things? So at what point does it become toxic, if it is at all? I think that's the general idea.
I think also we can add one subcategory to that I just thought of, which is players who just don't know any better. They're like, "Oh, I saw this streamer do it. I guess you're supposed to clicky near a
oh yeah. That was another thing. I'm glad you said that I wanted to mention is streamers actually influencers influencing the community. Go ahead.
Players who just don't know any better. They're like, "Hey, I saw so and so do this, and so I'm going to do this." You know, I'm just clicking. I didn't realize I didn't realize that I wandered into a taboo area. I'm just clicking the flashlight because I think it's funny, or other things. Which there's another category of like toxicity, which is like, once the game is either one way or the other, kind of making the other party look bad. So you just dunked on a killer, got 5 gens done, he got 1 hook or 2 hooks, and now you're clicky teabagging in the entrance or exit, however you want to look at it.
Right.
Knowing full well that he can't hit you and hook you. So you're kind of now taking that next step. Whereas, I mean, it depends on the game, but I'll sit in the exit because it's more points. If we get to 10 minutes, you get max whatever.
Yeah. We'll certainly sit there. We play a lot at nights and Swift and all that stuff. We'll certainly sit there, but nobody's teabagging. We're just standing there. Yeah. And actually, what I'm doing is, for the most part, I'll let them come get a hit and knock me out or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a whole different, and that's why as a killer now, you probably noticed on stream lately, unless I really have a chance or somebody's injured or whatever, maybe I can get them, knock them sideways so they can't get out. I'll generally not, if it's over, I'll just stand in the middle of the map and not give them the satisfaction.
No, fair enough.
But what we were saying earlier, because people will say, like, for example, Manface J, a guy we've both been watching lately. I really like his content for the most part. I think there's some things I would disagree with, but for the most part, I agree with the dude, and I like him. I think he's a cool guy, cool streamer, and he's coming up pretty good on Twitch and YouTube as well. He made a video the other day that reminded me of this, because he was saying, it's not toxic, it's just a tactic. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of getting tired of the tactic argument, because first of all, with the balance issues, you don't have to flashlight or click or teabag or any of that shit. Killers are already on edge. They're already frustrated. The game mechanics themselves do that for you. Like you said, the best way to other than actually clicking and teabagging and all that shit, the best way
something in game. A natural
in-game mechanics of a good looper, getting a pallet slammed in your face and then getting blinded you know, with while they run away or whatever, while you're smashing the pallet in the animation, then they run away. Dead Hard. I mean, right now it's boil over, for Christ's sake. You can't
Yeah.
literally can't get a hook on some maps, and they know this and they're abusing it.
Oh yeah.
So the
Any
game
upstairs,
itself
yeah.
is enough to frustrate. So my point is you can argue all day that it's just a tactic. You don't, it's nothing personal or whatever, but you know what? It is in some way, because you are purposely trying to piss off somebody who's just trying to enjoy the game like you are. And honestly, it's just like overboard. I understand, you can tell the difference between some of those survivors. Like, as if I'm playing killer, you'll have the people who they'll might click once or whatever, or drop one tea bag or something, but you could tell when it's more fun. You can just kind of tell. But obviously we're talking about the extreme cases when it's just, you know, bully squads, and that's why they call them bully squads, because that's what they're doing. They're out to ruin your day. Or ruin that game, at least. It ruins your day in some case. For some people, it may. I don't know. You don't know what people are going through. And of course, if you DC, then that's a badge of honor, and they celebrate it. I mean, you got entire YouTube channels about. We talked about it before with A-Run and some other ones. Their channels are centered around making killers look stupid, and any DCs are highlights to them. That's a highlight reel. If a killer gets frustrated enough just to quit the fucking game, they're happy and you know, and whatever. So you can't tell me that it goes beyond just a tactic of frustration. You know, I mean, the game itself does that. Like I mentioned, in the old days, object of obsession was the meta. You had always the one guy who wanted to be chased, and he knows you can see him, and he's clicking on top of that. And then, you know, generally you just ignore him. You try to ignore him and get to him when you get to him. But that's what they try to use. So there's always been this thing to try to get, you know, I understand, believe me, as a survivor, you won't, you know, so you're essentially swapping out gens. You're one person's being chased while others doing gens. You got somebody going for the rescue, and it's a rotation. But this is abuse. It's abuse of the mechanics. This is what it is. Let's call it what it is and stop pretending that it's just always a tactic. Is all I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. I think we should include by reference the Man Face J Arion or Aaron drama that when occurred. Obviously, Aaron didn't know that he was being didn't know it was Man Face J who was playing against him. Somehow, people from Man Face J's chat, real time in Twitch, went in and you know, Aaron's crew found out and all this other stuff. But
yeah, Aaron's crew kind of hate rated Manface J mid game at the end of the game. Yeah.
And you know, all Manface J was saying is like, look, you know, I'm playing this game as killer. I'm doing certain things, and in this very specific game, and he was comparing footage from Aaron's stream and his stream, and he's saying like, look, I've got one guy hooked at shack or in basement.
Yep.
Let's count the survivors that are here. There's one at the door. There's one on the other side of shack, and then there's, you know,
A-Run who had started a chase around the shack.
Right, started to chase around the shack because he's trying to do all sorts of, you know, because there's a generator, so you can make the killer lunge at the generator and miss hit because of that. So he's got all these little techniques that he's going to be using, and he wants to do that at shack, but the basement's at shack, and there's someone on a hook in the basement at shack. And he's having a fun time talking to his chat, and he's having fun playing the game. Maybe he's not focused on the fact that, well, yeah, there's someone on hook on basement, and you're looping around basement, and the other two people who you're not communicating with are also just standing here trying to get that unhook because they see a guy looping around basement. That means, well, he's not going to go for the unhook. I got to get over there. So now, Manface J was like, look, in this situation, this isn't camping. You got a hook and three people here. What am I supposed to do? Like,
and on top of that, the big thing was, you know, A-Run, he was talking about during this game, he was talking about the good old days, talking about camping and tunneling when killers, you know, supposedly didn't do that back in the day. So it just wasn't a thing you did. And so even though he wasn't directly talking about him, that was Jay's point of the video he made. And I broke that match down because I thought it was interesting. I like the psychology behind this stuff, honestly. So I know it just sounds like a crazy just to break down video games, but there's psychology, especially in this game. And you know, he wasn't paying attention, or his chat, he wasn't explaining to his chat, of course, oh, I shouldn't start a chase around shack since there's somebody in the basement. I should run away. Yeah. And then when he purposely goes and starts the chase. He's chasing him around shack. Of course, he doesn't get away. He gets hooked in the basement. Then the other two are there.
But remember why he got hooked too. Remember he was trying to do the locker
Yes.
technique, and he
He
miscounted,
miscounted
made
exactly.
a mistake, and then he gets taken to basement because he's on top of basement.
And so he's two in the basement at that point, and then the other two are already there looking at Jay on the top of the stairs. And where's he supposed to go? He's not. He's supposed to just leave and let them all reset. So I mean, in that case, he was 100% correct, which is why I thought that was an interesting
Yeah,
game to break down. So the
yeah.
point is you got these streamers who, like he said, they're inadvertently influencing these people to hear camping, tunneling. And now that gets thrown around so much, it doesn't mean anything. They don't know what it actually means to be camped or
Oh yeah,
tunneled.
no, everything's a camp. Everything's a tunnel.
Everything's camp. And then of course it changes. Then you hear, oh, proxy camping, right? Because the further you're a little further away, but you still, I can hear your heartbeat. So now you're proxy camping. And yes, there is a such thing, but now it's become like, the further and further away, they're just making up new terms.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, as a newer player, I used to get irritated anytime the killer was near me on hook because I was like, "Hey, man, this bullshit. You should know better." But the thing is, I was playing a game the other day. Again, in my not so great killer matches, I'm not a great killer, but someone was on hook, and as I had him on shoulder going to hook, someone's there crouching and trying to block, so they got hit. So now they're injured. I get the guy on hook. Lo and behold, the Meg who's injured is probably also the better looper on that Swift or in that trial is there, constantly trying to go for the hook.
Yep.
The other two people, by the way, the Nancy is also over there. She's injured and she's got a bear trap on. And then like the Leon, they're also there. So there's a hook and then there's three people here. So all I did was go back and forth. It's like, look, if you want to go to the hook, you're going to trade. Okay.
Yep.
Because if three people want to sit here and go for an unhook, I'm getting a trade out of it. I won't be a complete dick and just hit the person who just got unhooked because there's also borrowed time. So I don't want to waste that swing on a borrowed time. And number two, they might still have decisive. So even if they don't have borrowed time, I could waste 30 seconds on a decisive. So it's actually in my interest as a killer to go for a trade because it's the safest route. Take the person who is unhooking, give them a swipe, they run to the hook as they're unhooking or just as they finish unhooking, hit them. It's the low risk move because you're getting a hook out of it. Tunneling the person with decisive strike and borrowed time. I've seen killers do this all the time. And what do you hear me usually say when I'm about to get D-strike on someone? Greedy killer, greedy killer, greedy boy. Greedy boy.
Exactly.
And I'll say that. I'll be like, you're being a little greedy here. Boom. And then they get D-struck. And then they might chase me again or they might let me go. But hey, you just wasted 30 seconds after an unhook when you could have gone for the easier target and gotten the trade. So it's little things like this but you were around hook. And I guess as a new player, anytime the killer was anywhere near the hook, I'd be like, oh, that's camping. That's proxy.
Yeah, believe me, I welcome the whole hook swarming thing. I mean, it's easy.
You come to realize as a killer, if I can get that person on hook and you all want to fuck around over here and you want to give me some free hits before you get there, if I can injure you on the way to the hook, boom, that's perfect. If you do something stupid and we all get caught, but if you think you've got time to unhook and I can get in the right position and grab, I'm going to grab and I'm going to drop, and then I'm going to wait for the next person to show up. But why wouldn't I? You've gift wrapped me. Someone go to second state and you've gift wrapped me another hook somewhere down the line. Well, I'm supposed to leave. That's like oh hey, in football, hey, we're in the prevent defense, so don't throw it deep. You guys just got to throw under routes. We're in the prevent defense.
The unwritten rule book. But and I understand. I kind of understand to a degree newer players. Oh shit, he's got hooked. I gotta go now. But you kind of learn over time that wait a minute. If you just stay separated, stay on gens, and then you got time to get over there before they go to second stage, you're gonna win more of the games than you lose. Yeah. And you kind of learn that. But some people, they think it's a game. They want to go and body block and that's fine. That's as long as it's a mechanic of the game, you can body block, you can, take down hooks or whatever right in front of people. That's all fine. But like the other day, just on the stream the other day, which is why I was so frustrated too, it was literally the beginning of the game, the first hit, the first hook, and they were all there with boil over, both of them, at least two of them. And Sabo and hooks and all. It's like, dude, you ain't even got a gen done.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got one hook. What are you doing?
Well, and then
When it's better for it's the best interest of your team and for the guy being hooked
to
to
get three
leave,
gens done,
to not be there
to get
and
three
be
generators done while
exactly.
he's being hooked and chased.
Exactly, because you have time. You have 60 seconds to finish up a little bit of a gen or whatever it may be and get over there. You learn how to time that as you get more
If you get
experience.
3 generators done and you trade that for 1 hook, every
Yes,
spliff in the world will take that.
every time.
Instead, it's one person maybe working on a gen, 3 people running around giving extra hits, and then it's also one of these things where it's high risk. If it works, great. You've reset and the killer's wasted a minute. But you've also had 3 people who weren't on generators in that same minute.
That's right. And any time, any extension of time is the benefit of the killer.
And you call it a rotation. I call it a countdown. If you can get those 5 generators done, and at the same time have that rotation where it's 2 people on gen, 1 person on hook, 1 person being chased, or 1 person being chased, 3 people on hook. However you want to look at that whole thing.
Right.
At the end of the day, there's a reverse timer. And if you run out of time and you don't have 5 gens done, you don't get out. So it's a high risk thing, and I get it. There are times like games where we've had a bunch of games and they've been kind of vanilla, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to run some boons, and you want to mix it up as a survivor, keep doing different things, and that's fine. But
yeah, and I will say on the other side of it, I have seen we were talking about Jay again, because that was just such a great example of that, but I also have, watching a lot of his YouTube videos and stuff, and once I came across him, just being a likable guy, I also noticed that on occasion, and again, I don't see his whole entire streams or every game he plays. I mean, obviously, it's the stuff he chooses to put on YouTube. But on the other side of that, just to be fair, he has in a couple of cases I've seen, and I'm sure most other people do too, also camped and tunneled, which is fine. Just call it what it is. But he'll kind of like make excuses like, this is why I'm doing it, because I know they're going to be here. So then once somebody shows up, then he's like, oh, see, they're all here. You know what I mean? Now they're all here. So I need to make him go to second state, or if he's on second state, I need to make sure he dies or whatever. So at the same time, this all happens on the killer side. There's people who, oh no, I feel like if you come, and I think that's his philosophy, which is fine, is that if you, like, for example, unhook right in front of the killer, you're supposed to be scared of the killer, and you're not. So if you unhook right in front of me, I'm going to tunnel that person to punish you for it. Like, he's playing almost the role of an actual killer in the sense of, I'm going to punish you for making that mistake and not being scared of me. And so I see a lot of that too on the killer side, and just to be fair about it. So there will be people who do hang around the hook or whatever, because you can always say that excuse, right? Because, well, I know somebody's coming.
I knew you were going to go back to hook.
I knew you were coming.
Yeah.
You know somebody's coming, so you can always say that and say, yeah, I'm here because I know somebody's coming, or I know how these bastards play. I've heard that too. Before it's way too early to know how they actually play.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and it's in the old days thing too. People keep bringing up the old days and how it used to be. I remember when this game came out, there was only Trapper to play for a little while before the other two, and you didn't know. Like, if you hook somebody, you just put a bunch of traps around them and hung around. You didn't know at first. Now you quickly learned after people started figuring out what to do, and other I guess survivors. You get over that fear of somebody dying. And just staying on
video game. In a video game, oh my god.
Yeah. Once you figure out the whole thing about time and being efficient, all that goes away. But there were people that hung around because you didn't know, like, okay, I think it's a good idea to stay here. You know what I mean, or whatever. So, which it still is to some degree. I mean, it is a tactic. That is a tactic. I'm going to go away, but I also know somebody's going to chase. So once I'm done with this guy, I'm going to go back to that hook because I know they're healing. So those things are, but that's a whole, I guess, different.
Well, I think that also, like, again, and obviously the standard disclaimer of play the killer however you want, play the survivor however you want. We're not telling you, do this, do that, but I think that there's a big difference here in terms of, this isn't like scored like soccer where it's like 4 kills to 0, boom, that's a win for the killer. There's these things called blood points and all the other emblems. So there's a lot of different ways that, how well you played. And we can agree that the system isn't perfect. But
for sure.
you're incented to get 9 hooks. 9 hooks is an automatic devout iridescent emblem. Okay, that's what you're incented to do. 4 hooking each survivor once gives you like 40 points in devout. So there are all these things that the developers are basically showing you, like, if you want to get 4 iridescent emblems and pip up as fast as you can, and by the way, get the season end bonus benefit of 1,000,000 blood points, here's how you do it. If you want to play Insidious Myers and get 4 exact hooks, or get 1 hook and everyone else realizes what you're doing, and maybe you get a second kill later on. But if you want to play it that way, that's fine. But look at the scores. Like, there have been times where we're against the Myers, the guy gets 12,000 points, and it's just like, yeah, but the scoreboard here is not 4-0.
He ran Tombstone, and it's over in 3 minutes, and then it's like, that's
fine. The scoreboard here is not 4-0. Look at your points. Look at your points, and then tell me what emblems you got, and I'll tell you whether or not. Because I think what people need to go back to is, what is the reward system in the game? And if the reward system in the game is you get points for it, it's probably an in-game mechanic that you should use. You don't get points for teabagging.
Exactly. We were talking about that before.
You don't get points for clicky clicking.
That's right. We kind of said it before when we were talking about this a little bit in the previous one was, if it's not something that benefits you in any way, it's abuse in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, you like I said, you can be running, you can drop a pallet, stun them, blind them if you want, whatever. That's fine. It's all game mechanics. And again, like you said, play how you want. But we're just saying you can get away from that point because he's blind, and then he's got to kick the pallet, depending on what pallet it is, obviously. Yeah. By that time, you're at another tile and starting the process all over again. There's no absolute need to stay there and click and teabag and then, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's just going above and beyond. But again, they'll say, well, I'm just trying to get in his head. He's already fucked up. He's already fucked up because he's a killer. He's a killer. It's 1v4.
And I also, I also got to tell you, I mean, like, I face lesser quality survivors in the general scheme of things. But, like, if I'm in a survivor match and I know, like, I'm bronze 4 as a killer, and I'm probably getting matched with other survivors in that area, it's like, if you throw a pallet and then drop 3 teabags after you throw the pallet, okay, I don't really care, because I'm like, well, let's see if I can chase you. Let's see how this chase ends up. If, you run a masterful 5-gen run, okay, fine. I see why you were teabagging. But, like, a lot of times the person gets hooked, and you're like, how'd that triple teabag work out for you? Like,
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, sure. I mean, when that happens, you damn sure want to make sure they die. And you will throw a whole, it depends on what kind of mood you're in or how much you've dealt with already in the session you're playing, whether you're streaming or not. You're like, you'll throw the whole game just to make sure that motherfucker dies, for sure. Because it's satisfaction.
Yeah.
And then, it's just a whole GG easy or whatever at the end of the game, even though you're dead.
Oh, we should talk about people saying GG when they know it wasn't a good game. Like,
yeah, I mean, I get it. You're just trying to be sportsmanlike in those cases, but it is definitely not. I agree.
Well,
I think me and you are the more old school and just being honest about things.
I think, and also these days it's more like there are more people throwing the GG out there just to be like, good game.
Yeah. No, for sure.
They're like, I got 1 hook. I got 1 hook, and you're GGing me.
I agree, but at the same time, I'm also like, well, I can't really judge their intent off a GG. I'll just consider it sportsmanship, and if they're not doing anything else or whatever.
Well, that's why I'll just be like, no, it wasn't a good game, and I'm not mad. I'm just being like,
no.
You said good game. No, it wasn't a good game.
Not really.
No, not really. No, wasn't a good game. So, or they're like, I'm sorry, and I'm like, you're not sorry, and they're like, yeah, you're right, I'm not sorry. It's like,
exactly.
Again, then you've already won the game, you've already dunked on us. There's no need in that sense. I mean, I think that the anonymity of this, which sits outside all video games, the ability to be anonymous and just be a douchebag.
Oh yeah, and that's the majority of it. And let me just say this before we move on, because we're going to talk about one more thing real quick before we get out of here, but. We're not saying all this to, like, like I said, not just to defend all killers or whatever. We're just calling it like it is. But it's really more to just make people start thinking, because like we're going back to that A run thing, right? His whole thing was, I won't, you should care about everybody's fun. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't necessarily, because you buy the game for you. And again,
Yeah.
we both say over and over, play how you want.
Yeah.
But we also want people to start thinking about when you're playing the game, whether you're a streamer or just playing it privately and you watch streamers or not, whatever it is, and you see, oh, this fucker's camping. Maybe look around and think about what caused it. If maybe he is just camping, but maybe he's not.
Hey, that happens. Look, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. But maybe
Obviously
he's not camping. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's tunneling because there's one gen left that he knows is about to pop, and he's got 2 hooks. Think about what caused the situation. Is there a teammate running around nearby that he's chasing?
Well, that's
and he knows they're there. You know what I'm saying?
That's the one that usually these days where you're like, especially when you and I are playing with randoms, unknown elements, where it's like, wait, is that person still around hook? And then you see, oh, look, they just got hit. And they're still running around hook. It's
exactly. So pay attention is all we're saying, is pay attention to those type of situations. Look at your HUD. You can tell when you may still hear the heartbeat, because this is going back to the A run thing and all the people that watch these big streamers. And again, I'm not picking on A run. I just keep using that example because because I broke down that video and we talked about it last time. But when you're streaming and you're just talking about all, your experiences, you're not really commentating. You're not commentating what's going on in the game, because you're half involved with chat and half involved with running or whatever he's doing. And so they're not fully aware of the scenario and the situation. Maybe just take some time before you start throwing out insults at in-game chat or whatever. Maybe take some time to think about the situation of the game. Is it really camping and tunneling, or is it situational because, my teammate ran over here and too early or whatever it may be? Because if nobody comes around and he has no reason to be there and he's not a genuine camper, he's going to leave.
Yeah.
Period.
Especially, if I got barbecue, I'm going to the first person
you're going to stop the next gen. There's 2 people over here on this gen that's about to pop. Yeah. So in general, that's what'll happen. But if he sees somebody, he's not just going to ignore them. So don't go too early. Don't go too early. Just stay on your gen. You got time.
I think that's another thing, that we're kind of alluding to.
I mean, we're helping. Hey, for Christ's sake, I'm a killer, man, and I'm telling survivors how to get better.
Well, and also I'm a survivor, man, and I'm telling, I'm complaining about when survivors are doing stupid shit to throw games. It's like
that's the other thing we didn't mention really quick was playing with toxic people. As when me and you go in, it's just me and you. We get some random people, and then you get those on your team. I'm always going to have a soft spot for as a killer main, so I don't like it, man. I don't give a shit, because you don't necessarily know it the whole time until you start seeing it. We've had a couple people we played with who do some toxic things.
Yeah,
and I'm like, why are we like, for example, we were playing with somebody the other day, and I won't say names. I don't even remember. Honestly, it was somebody we don't play very often, but immediately farming hooks. Immediately going after hooks, unhooks, and it's going to lead to your teammate's death, like we're just talking about in this whole scenario. I'm like, why are we farming hooks again? Why are we? I said that too in Discord. Like, so I mean, I don't deal with it on either side. I don't care if I'm playing survival. I just don't like it, man. Yeah.
If you're gonna aggressively go for hooks quickly, you should have borrowed time. If you're doing this without borrowed time, you're fucking the rest of us over just to get your own hooks.
It's just a dumb move.
And you want to dunk in the face of the killer by being like, haha, or I just got the unhook. And this is one that comes with more timing in the game, is knowing when not to unhook, because if I unhook, the guy on shoulder is going to get put on this hook. How many times have you been on hook and you're like, no, not now, not now.
Yeah, exactly. Don't farm. No, not yet. Wait.
Wait. Make the killer take the person on shoulder to a different hook, and that's just, I think that's more inexperience, where people are like, I got to get you off hook. I got an opportunity right now.
But it's also, and then you run against a killer like Jay we were talking about, who realizes, okay, if you're going to do that right in front of me, I'm supposed to be the killer. You're supposed to have some level of respect. It's about respect, honestly. It comes down to it. You're supposed to have some level of respect for the killer, right? He's the killer in the game. If you're going to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to punish your teammate. Yeah. And so I'm going to tunnel him. Even if I get bar time, I'm going to make sure he has he goes to the next hook stage
Mm-hmm.
and dies potentially because you did that. So you decided to take this action, and I'm going to punish it.
Well, no,
It's
I'm
almost like the
reacting.
guy, if me and you both played sports to the collegiate level, you have the guy who fucks off and the rest of us run. Right. I mean, that was the mentality.
Well, no, and I'm also gonna add to that. It's like, there's a tactic, and it's like, look, if you're gonna go with this kind of tactic, then what I need to do is I need to essentially shorten my margin of error, lessen my margin of error, and this is something I'll do too, which is if it happens and you get someone on the second hook before you've hooked anyone else, put them on the hook. You know why? Now that guy is going to be like, either, hey, you want to talk about mind games? Now that survivor's like, oh, fuck, man. This guy's a tunneler. Yep. Every time the killer sees me, he's going to do it. So now you're in his head. Or they're going to do something, which is, again, tactically smart when you have two hooks. They're going to be like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to do a generator in the middle of the map by myself. I don't know if I'm going to heal right next to hook. All of a sudden, now you can be like, well, fuck it. We're gonna put something in your head, and you're gonna be worried about going to third hook. So again, like there's tactics and responses to tactics. And if a guy's gonna be like, hey, you could be like in golf, right? Let's say we're playing a skins game, and you're like, you're good. 4 feet, you're good, right? Next time you get up there, 4 feet, I'm like, put it out. Right. You're gonna be like, oh, we're playing like that. That's fine. Exactly. Put out all yours too. So, I mean, I guess, there's that kind of thing there where it's like, hey, again, don't be surprised if you take some aggressive tactics and you get responded to by a tunnel or a camp. It's like,
yeah, right. Exactly. Hey, don't, again, it's going back to that thinking about, okay, wait a minute. Why would he didn't seem to be doing that until then. So think about what the situation is and why he decided to actually camp or tunnel. But maybe it's a response. Maybe it's not just an asshole killer. Maybe it's a response to something.
Maybe tactically you were doing something, and then tactically he responded by, hey, you escalated to kind of this level, and he's like, fine, we'll equal that escalation out. So you're going to escalate to that, boom.
Yeah. To some degree, like I said, I agree with that tactic as far as. Because again, I don't make that clear. I'm not saying that every flashlight click is just bullshit. There are tactical things, but so I don't want to make that clear on both sides. But there is a tactic, and I'd agree with it at some point. Maybe it brings respect back to some killers. Punish those bad moves. You made a mistake by trying to show off or be fancy or just get a quit, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to punish the teammate. I'll make sure that he's already on two hooks, and now the rest of the game, he's running around hiding.
So, yeah, exactly. I mean, and then you're sitting there, you're sitting there saying, "Oh, fuck,"
Yeah, it's basically 3v1 because he might be coming and touch a gen and go back out when he hears a heartbeat, whatever.
Yeah, we've seen that.
because as a survivor, it's still better for you to do less than to die. So
no, yeah, exactly.
For that just goes back into that.
No, and that was a great point Otz Darva made the other day too. He's like, look, if you've got two hooks and no one else has a hook, it's like. He's like, yeah, he didn't say it as directly as I would have liked, but it's like you come away from that understanding. It's better for you to be nothing in a match than to be dead in a match.
Yes.
Absolutely. And he's right. And he's like, now, people might take away from that. Anytime you get two hooks hide in the corner, that's not what he's talking about. No, that's
not what he said.
Not what he's talking about.
No.
He's talking about
do less is basically, it's because it's still, I can tell you as a killer main, when you see that, if you got, let's say 2-3 gens left and you already got a death, you feel great. You're ahead.
Oh yeah.
And so just not knowing that just knowing the other person is still contributing in some way is still pressure on you.
Right. Because I mean, again, if they're swift, you're going to have one guy being like, hey, I'm looping at Shack, and the guy with two hooks is over there like, okay, man, I'm at main house.
I'm on the other side of the map, but I'm on a gen.
On the other side of the map, on a gen. Keep him at Shack as long as you can, and it's stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
it's adding.
You've gotten in his head. He doesn't want to be near Chase. Especially, he doesn't want to be near Chase because you want to be the first one to die a lot of times. And you don't want to be the first one to die with 3 hooks and no other hooker. But I mean, I know as a killer, if I can get one kill before a gen is done, it's like 3v1 even against me for 5 gens.
Oh yeah, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, this is over.
And which is why a lot of people decide to tunnel out one person. Usually, you don't have the. I think I'll say this too. If there are legitimate times to camp a tunnel, like we said,
well,
but don't do it on the first hook.
Behind,
don't do it on the first hook. Do it on the second hook. Don't ever wait on the first stage. That's ridiculous. But anyway,
I got to tell you, like in another kind of tactic, as a killer, it's like, look, who the best looper is. You can figure out after a couple chases who the better looper is on the team. And so I've been in matches where, the one person who is the better looper, who it took me a while to get the first hook, they vaulted a window 3 times until it was blocked off. They threw a pallet and then they waited for me to break it and then they got away, but I got them down. I know I can't invest that much time anymore.
Right.
And so you'll see him clicking when I'm in a chase with someone else. I've stopped, looked over, and nodded, and then just continue my chase because
because they can't hold M1 better than anybody else.
Yeah,
they can run better than anybody else. So leave them for later.
Yeah,
exactly.
And a 1v1 killer versus survivor without the hatch, game's over. Game is over. Like even the best survivor in the world, either the end game timer is going to run out or you're going to catch him.
Oh, yeah. They will get caught eventually. Absolutely.
So, it's like, again, I guess as a killer, the point is if you see the clicking and you're like, oh, that guy, fine. That guy knows he's the best looper in the 4-man. Right. And you know what I'm going to do? I got an injured Nancy over here. Full respect to Nancy mains. But I had an injured Nancy over here who's going on second hook. Yeah. No, she's going on second hook. And
that's right. Yeah, we got to stop pretending there's this rule book, and adhere to it. But at the same time, like I said, I do go in for me, and again, it's just me. Play how you want, but I don't try to do those things. Occasionally, I'll slug depending on the situation. If somebody's right there and I'm running, I don't know, I'm playing nurse, and I'm running something where or somebody's right, but following me or whatever, I hear them right, or whatever it may be, clicking. I'll slug that one person and get them because they're right there. Maybe, yeah. So I mean, there are situations, but I generally try to think, okay, I'll play the nice killer, and I go back to a hook like you said before, smack somebody and just swap. I'll let the other person run off while I'm hooking him. I may go right back after them, but they've had their chance. And
I've had that. Where it's like,
I mean,
you
they
get
have
the trade. I hook that guy right away, and then I'll go track down the nearest survivor, and it might be the person who's just unhooked.
Right.
Like,
it might be. It might not be.
Like,
exactly.
I literally took the time to hit someone twice and then put them on the hook, and you, as the person who just got off hook, you should be halfway across the map.
Yeah, exactly. So, don't complain if you're still if you went right down behind the hook and you're standing there, yelping, still injured. And then I hit you again after I hooked your teammate. Don't complain when you didn't run across the map. Could have been gone.
You want that? Get distance and get away.
That's literally punishing a mistake.
And
anyway, so all we're saying is just whatever these situations, all we're really saying is just think about maybe it is a straight up camper, maybe it's a straight up tunnel, but maybe it's not.
What we're saying is, did you make a mistake?
Yes.
Did you do something tactically, or did you have like some brain fart where you forgot this, that, or the other? Did you make a mistake? And if the killer is just there taking advantage of mistake, that's not the killer being toxic.
No,
I think, I think about that as a survivor more. What mistakes did I make? Not, what did the killer do? Like if I get yanked because I didn't get off a gen and let him hit me and then finish again. If I get yanked, that's my fault.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you think about what did I do something to cause that, just think about other perspectives. I think if everybody has a general, like I said, we're not here to gatekeep or tell everybody how to do it. We're just saying as a general community and to keep this game alive and improving and all that stuff. If people start thinking just a little more empathy and thinking about the situation a little bit more and other, whatever, then it'll generally get a little better. That's all we're saying.
And you're going to have more fun. And you're gonna keep your sanity, because
you can easily get burnt out. The other day, this last stream, I mean, I was just I had a bad day anyway. And then you think, okay, well, I'll go stream and relax. But sometimes DVD is not relaxing.
Fuck no, man.
And especially as killer. And, so that it was just a bad
day. And that's another thing, too, is it's completely random. And then there are days we get Insidious, Bubba, Tombstone Myers, and then like a quick marking ghost face.
Yeah.
And we get 3 matches in a row where we get shit on. And then there are days where the MMR is broken and we've got like 3 Ash 1 killers, and you're running them all day. I'm getting 8,000 bold points. It's like it's just random too. You gotta accept that.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to roll with the good and the bad. But last thing, I don't know, we're already going pretty long. We got to talk about cheating. Now, I think they fixed a few things in this last couple patches. But now, like we were saying before, as a killer main, now that I've looked into a lot of videos and watched how they actually do it, because all they do, we call it hacking, but it's really just cheating. Because most people are not hacking; they're buying them.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
they pay $50. Yeah, they're not actually writing.
They're not writing the code. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're buying these things for $50. They install them. It gets around easy anti-cheat and all that stuff. And some of them they can see numbers, they can see people, they can see the killer, they can see where totems are and hooks and everything. There's different ones, but they can enable stuff and disable stuff, different aspects of the game. So we're not talking about the overt hackers who know they're getting banned and just create a different account. More of the subtle hacks, and I've started to pick up on it a lot more because I've been playing for a long time. And what bothers me is I mostly play killer on stream, and then we play a lot of Swift at night and stuff, obviously. But what bothers me is that, first of all, it's a cheater, and they may be just like a 5% speed boost. It may be, where they can unhook slightly faster. I've seen all this stuff now, and it makes me paranoid, and makes you like the other day we just talked about it. This last stream I had, there was definitely, now that I look back, and if I go look at the footage, there was definitely that. Was it Jane? Whoever it was definitely
no, Kate or a Cheryl.
Kate. It was a Kate. Yeah. It was a Kate. There was definitely. I was playing that pig game just for the daily, which I'm not a great pig. I used to be pretty good at pig. I haven't played pig in forever, but so I'm not great anyway. But she was definitely staying a little too far away. Just W key.
Well, there was that thing where you chased like the Dwight or something like that, and you were on him. In one tile.
Yes.
One tile, you had closed the distance.
Close the distance, boom.
It's like she had a sprint burst every time you turned.
It was almost like an unlimited sprint. You couldn't see it, but there was always that the distance didn't close as fast. So there was definitely a 3-5% speed increase where eventually I would, but by the time she was already at another tile with another pallet, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so it makes me paranoid because I don't want to be like come across as a whiner, but there's so many people that do it. People don't realize they think that now there's about, I think a number, I could be wrong on this, but I think it was like 1 in 4 people have some kind of minor, like subtle hack or subtle cheat that are running. And that doesn't surprise me. I don't get it. I don't understand why I'm not going to, preach about cheating, but the point being is, it happens. It happens. A lot more people think, and we're not talking about like I said, the overt hackers who just think it's funny or whatever, and they ruin your game, but it's just one game, or maybe they hold you hostage, you just cut the game off. It's these little subtle things. It's the time you can't see it. Okay. You're running, you're chasing somebody. They go around, an L wall, and then on the other side of the L wall, are they boosting a little bit? You don't know. You can't see it. It's so subtle. Mm-hmm. So it takes somebody who's played killer a long time to notice little minor things like that, and then when you say it, you feel like, am I just whining? Am I seeing things? So
yeah.
It's really
getting to a point because I can't catch it.
Yeah, am I just frustrated because I'm not chasing well? And so you feel like, you don't want to say anything, but you do. You want to call it out.
Yeah.
Well, so it's a weird situation, especially as a streamer.
Yeah, I mean, and it's something that, if you tell people elsewhere, you're like, well, the survivor runs it. We'll call it 100% baseline. And most killers are 115%, right?
Right.
Now, if you take the survivor and you move them up to like 105%, that sounds like nothing.
Yeah, it sounds like nothing, but it is.
But you decrease the advantage of a killer. And now you've got a Huntress who I think is a 110 when she's walking, right?
Yep.
So she's a 110 runner. If you put a 105 runner against a 110 runner, all of a sudden it's a 2-tile chase to close that distance, especially if you see the Huntress first and you take a straight line that doesn't have a cutoff angle, right? If you're running a triangle and they take the hypotenuse, that's how, most killers are going to cut the distance in addition to the speed. But if you're running in a straight line and 105 versus 110, it's going to be a while.
It's just going to be a long time. Yeah.
If she's out of hatchets, it's going to be a while. It sounds like nothing, but it makes a difference.
It's a lot. And then, you got the, and that's the thing, you can't see every unhook, unhooks, all those little seconds add up over the whole game. And anytime that you add seconds, you're given, because the killer's trying to slow it down,
right.
The survivor's trying to speed it up. It's that
or
simple.
it's a second faster on the unhook, but it takes 6 seconds to heal. So
right. Well, I mean, that makes a difference between.
Now it takes 5 seconds to heal, right?
So right. We're just talking about the unhook thing. I've seen that happen now where it's just a subtle. It's not so subtle when you look at it close. Like you play like for example a VOD or something of the match, but that at unhook you're going back to hook. You see somebody's there, they unhook them. Now instead of getting that swap where you hit that person for the second time and you can immediately hook them and just trade, now they've got time to unhook them and now they dead hard away. Because you don't, so it gives. So now all of a sudden they've unhooked almost in your face. You didn't quite see it was a little bit faster, but now dead hard has time to pop up on your screen, and they can
especially now if you swing,
and now you're swinging,
you're going to get that second hit.
You're swinging.
You get the swing penalty. They get the dead hard speed burst, and it's like
so. Again, and then there's two. That's a whole nother chase where you had at least a hook to get right there. So it can add up and it makes a huge difference. And there's just so many people doing it. And it makes me so paranoid now. I feel like I'm looking for it all the time. And I don't want to be that way. You know what I'm saying? Especially streaming. I can sit here by myself and play all night and just yell at the screen by myself. But I don't want to feel like I already feel like I have a disadvantage enough. And now on top of that, we have these subtle little cheats,
Well, that's the thing too. People, as a survivor and as you get better at looping, or as a killer, if you play enough, you just like, a lot of times I sit in a game or after a game and I'll be like, that one time I missed when there were still 4 generators remaining. If I get that hit, I get 2 hooks before a second generator's done. Whoever was on that generator has to come for the unhook and waste that time. You can sit there and be like, that one unhook. You had that problem the other day. You're like, that one missed hook cost me 2 generators. And just set the ball rolling.
That one ball over, not getting to a hook, cost the whole game. I said it right at the beginning.
Yeah. And people don't get that sometimes. One swing and a miss at the wrong time, particularly early game, or when a crucial amount of generators are about to be finished, it can cost you. And it's like, that one little subtle thing you did. Like, or imagine you're like, well, imagine if I had a hack where, as a survivor, I have hatch preference instead of the killer. So I go run into the hatch. The killer's like, now I'm just going to close the hatch. I'm not going to be stupid and swing. You both get there at the same time. No, I've got hatch preference. To the killer, it looks like, maybe I didn't get there in time. But hey, I've got hatch preference. And again, it's like these little things that you won't ever be able to really prove unless someone's, just grotesquely blatant about it.
Right.
And again, like, look, we'll address cheating here like cheating and anything else. It's like, I can't stop you from cheating, but
and then it just
why play the game?
Why play exactly? I've never understood the mentality, man. And because I saw this, it just reminded me to talk about it here because I saw some random video that it was autoplay another night when I was grabbing some food, and Guitar Hero came up where this one guy was like the super duper dude who had the best times on every song. He was playing all these things, not missing a single note, and at 150% speed. And it came out he was a cheater. And it made me think, God damn, why even play? It's clout. I get, people want that attention, and it's like I don't understand it, man.
I think that's hilarious, right? The time, like the headline would be "Guitar Hero revealed as a fraud."
It was. And it was like, what the hell, man? I mean, just if you can't do it, I don't know. I've never understood. We're old school, maybe. I don't know.
Just get good at it, or accept that you can't
be
that high level. Like in CS:GO, I don't play as much as I used to. A, because I don't have a team to play with, and B, it's because I just know I'm never going to be at that level where I can flick headshots with any real consistency. There are guys I play with who can, and it's like, I mean, I could be, I don't know, a douchebag about it and go buy a cheat to do that. But why not just either play the game casually and have fun doing it, or go find a game that you can get better at. You know,
That's right. That's all there is to it. I don't make any sense. But I don't know. I'm already paranoid enough as a killer. I already go into the match, every match as a killer, thinking it's good. You have, like I said, you have good game. And that's the thing. It's hard. We don't mention the great games. We're not sitting here talking about, hey, did you see those 4Ks I got in the previous stream when everything was
exactly.
a 4K?
Yeah.
I understand that. Believe me, we get it. But I go into every match thinking it's going to be a bully squad. There's going to be a cheater now or whatever it's going to be, instead of just like relaxing. And it's easy to say, oh, just don't take it seriously. It's just a game. It's easy for people to say that. I hear all these people saying that in some of these breakdown videos and some of these other videos talking about some of the similar stuff we're doing. But it's like, it's not that easy when you're competitive.
Yeah,
if you're competitive, if you're a
yeah.
naturally competitive person, you can't just come to a game like this and go, yeah, it's just a game.
Yeah.
It's not just a game.
I'd be competitive in a game of war in cards.
Absolutely.
I would want to win.
It's like my daughter.
Lose.
It's like my daughter when she was young. We'd lay on the floor every night and she wanted to play tic-tac-toe and and hangman and all that stuff. I didn't let her win. I wanted her to experience losing. I never did. I told her from the get-go when she was old enough to understand, I will never let you win, and I'll never lie to you.
You got to learn how to play.
It may come across as harsh, but I will never lie to you, and I'll never let you win. Yeah. That was just my thing. That was just anyway. And by the way, if people are actually watching this on YouTube, I think the last one got a couple hundred views. Not too bad for the small, tiny gaming channel. Let us know in the comments of like little topics in DBD. We'll discuss it. We'll definitely want to get some guests on here, whether it be streamers or other just players, whatever that we play with, whatever. But yeah, leave us some ideas in the chat, or in the I'm saying chat like we're live. In the comments, and topics or particular, maybe we can break down games sometimes.
No, I think we should probably do some postmortems of games.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I enjoy breaking down things and seeing, and I enjoy the psychology behind all this shit, which is why we're talking about in the first place.
Well, and I think also, like, sometimes if you don't watch the Twitch streams, depending on who we're playing with, I mean, I think sometimes there are a lot of actually like interesting discussions we have, as nerdy as it is. Mm-hmm. We're having a discussion about actual game mechanics, new perks, how to stack perks, different killer builds we're seeing, what's the meta evolving into. And like, those are little conversations that, if we could get reminded or pointed to things like that, where it's like, hey, what do you think about this Scourge Hook Pain Resonance Deadlock combo that we're seeing?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like, I fucking hate it, man. Like, and not only that, a tip of the cap to someone who knew the perks well enough to realize, like, so the Scourge Pain Hook is going to make you scream, which means you let go of the generator.
Right.
Deadlock blocks any generator that you stop doing as I hook.
Or Dead Man Switch we had the other day. Yeah.
Oh, Dead Man. That's another ones too. There's like, and the thing is, like, again, tip of the cap to people who find these metas.
These super nerds who have been streaming forever and playing, for 10,000 hours, man. They're all up on this stuff. And I'll tell you, I'll suggest a great channel for some of these little things and how they work together is Pebsy. He'll do like these DVD myths where, something will affect another perk. Will they work together? Will they not? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. And some are work and some don't. So that's a pretty cool, interesting thing if you're into that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, or how do I use Boil Over? Simple. Pick a map with 2 floors.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, luckily, they're going to finally change this in the next patch, but this is right now it's ridiculous.
Make sure you get chased and down on the upper
they're
floor.
literally taking away the ability, almost, depending on the map, obviously in the situation, but they know enough to go to a second floor, and away from a hook or whatever, and everybody knows the map's pretty good. It's been playing a while, and you cannot. You literally took the ability to kill somebody away. You saw the other day. I had 2 boilovers and 2 no mithers, so I couldn't just let them bleed out.
Yeah, that's right.
You remember? Right. Yeah, I was so pissed off. Like, I was just, and the rest of the stream was ruined, and that's my fault. That's my fault. But you know what I mean? That's like ridiculous.
No, I was.
Because remember, I forgot about it for once. I said, "Yeah, fuck him. I'm gonna let him bleed out." And oh shit, he has no mither.
I think I typed in chat no mither.
Yeah, I was like, fuck.
I think I was watching a YouTube highlight of something like that too, where the guy was like, "Oh, you know what it was? Because you turned me on the coconuts, right?"
Yeah.
So I'm watching his fucking cross map snipes, which are just beautiful things. Like, as a survivor man, you're like, holy fuck, he hit those. But there was one. He's like, all right, so this is the first time I played these guys, and they had unbreakable soul guard.
Yeah.
So the soul guard kicks in once you get up. You've got like basically you've got a dead heart or a borrowed time, whatever you want to look at. You got endurance for like 2 seconds, 3 seconds after you change a health state from down to dying state to up. And so he's like, in the first one, he's like, yeah, this is what happened the first time. And he's like, oh shit, they all have soul guard, right? He goes against them second and third times. He's like, well, he's like, I can't slug these guys. I just got to put them right on hook because they got soul guard. Because the unbreakable is annoying enough. But a lot of times, if someone unbreakables at the wrong time, you know this from both the survivor side and the killer side. You do the wrong unbreakable, it's like I just wasted unbreakable.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm back down completely unrecovered. But that unbreakable soul guard where he's like, oh great, free redown, and he goes in, hits them, boom, and they kind of squirt off and then get distance, and he's like, oh shit. Then he looks around at somewhere else on the map. The other guy slugged his up. So it was a fun series to watch where he's like, the rematch.
Yes, I just saw that the other night too, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that was a good one, man. But but then it's like you were worried about a slug as a Swift, so you brought Soul Guard. You won the first one. He then reacted to you having Soul Guard by not slugging. So kind of mission accomplished. He's not slugging anymore.
Right, exactly.
But hey.
Yeah, that's the great part about DBD. I mean, as frustrating as it can be, there's so many different things that can happen and counters to counters, and that's the crazy part about it.
If we could get a team where it was really just 4 people who didn't care about cosmetics and didn't care about like what perks you ran, if we could really just put together like a tournament team where we're like, well, you're slightly better at running, so take the exhaustion perk, or maybe put the exhaustion perk on someone who will need that so that they can extend the chase for a little bit longer or whatever. But you could really build like, it would include decisive, borrowed, unbreakable. Maybe someone would prove thyself. You gangbang the first gen of the match, get it down to 4 gens, and then you spread out.
Right. Yeah, man. We'll keep going with DBD until I throw the fucking computer out the window one of these streams. But
I just wish someone had told me to actually start playing DBD.
I know. I mean, 2016, I started streaming. Hey, y'all should check this out. Fucking crickets, till like a year ago.
And then last year with the pandemic and like the lunar event, I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna smoke stream. What do you think? I'm gonna try this game called DBD.
Yeah, exactly. And then everybody in the friends group started playing it. Like, where the hell y'all been? For Christ's sake.
It is actually a really fun game. I mean, you live with
it's
the
fun, it's frustrating, but we're talking about this stuff and bitching about things because we do enjoy the game overall, and you meet a lot of
more people would play it. Yeah,
you meet a lot of cool people playing it, and especially like you said, during the pandemic when you're at home and for the most part, and that's how you get your social interactions online. And I hate all that to some degree, but I also enjoy it. And like I said, it's overall, it's a fun time, but there's issues. I mean, there's issues not only with the game and in the balance and all that stuff, MMR, blah, blah, blah. But, on top of that, when you have a user base with all this toxicity or perceived toxicity or whatever it is, it's
or
sometimes
just, being influenced by an influencer.
Yeah, like, being influenced and just you come to the game. Yeah. They, it's just it's some kid who watches, Twitch, and he comes across a streamer. This guy's got 3,000 viewers, whatever it may be. And then they hear constantly, he's a tunneler or a camping, and it just gets ingrained. And then you see these people who they don't even have 100 hours. They're already talking about, well, why did you unhook me without borrowed time? And the killer was across the map. It's just, what do you mean? Am I just supposed to leave you there?
I think there's what we could also do? We could do like a little kind of progression, because everyone does this, but I think you and I have a different perspective too. But do like a little progression thing. It's like if you run borrowed time for like your first 100 hours of having it, you really start to learn what the important thing you learn is how many times you unhooked and you needed that borrowed time. And then once you learn how many times you needed borrowed time, you get a lot better doing what you're saying, which is unhooking without borrowed time, which sounds crazy, but you're like, no, man, the killer's far enough away. Right. And I'll take a protection hit, and all this other stuff. You learn how to unhook.
Right. There was a time before Bill came out that people unhooked still and took protection hits. I mean, exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. If you've been around long enough from the get-go. You had the trapper and 3 survivors. Then the other 2 pop really, the 3 main killers or originals. And then the first thing was Nia and the nurse. And that's been a long time ago. Damn, that's been a long time ago.
Smokescreen Video, New Survivor, 2017.
Remember? I get it's still on the old gaming channel. It is. Hey, New Survivor Nia. What the hell? I just saw that the other night. Jesus Christ.
That's like new technology, wheel.
Yeah.
You put it on a stick
exactly.
and it makes things move.
Exactly.